with the heat, get you 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 with the hit 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 Hit you with the heat, hit you with the heat, hit you with the 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 heat. Hit you with the heat. Hit you with the heat.
Hello guys, welcome to this new video. Today we're gonna see how to make a track like CADZOW. So for this track, I chose as a reference all the tracks with a sidetrance kick and a reverse bass kick from CADZOW. So as you could hear in the preview, I went a bit nuts in the breakdown with several ideas, but we're gonna see all the elements in this tutorial. And as usual, you can take the project file and you can follow along with it. The link is in the description. Thank you very much already for the support. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe, like, and comment the video. And here we go.
Down up on the streets, down up on the streets, hit you with the heat, hit you with the heat.
We're gonna start by the kick and the bass. I'm gonna start first with the kick. I have several layers. I have a top kick, I have a main kick, and some support kicks. So I'm gonna go through all of these layers. So first the top kick, nothing special here, it's just a little click. So here just isolate the mid part. I don't want the sub and I don't want the high end that was a bit too harsh. And here I just make sure that I have only this top kick at the beginning for my kick, and here I have just withdraw this part so that it doesn't clash and it doesn't make something too harsh. So next I have this main kick. So I have two layers of the main kick that is duplicated. So first one is this one. So I just saturate a bit the high end and withdraw something that was too harsh. So I just balance a bit better the frequencies, because here it was too much in the mids and the lows. And here this one is saturated, distorted. And I withdraw the boomy part that was a bit too much. And this final layer is just to saturate and get the saturation at the mid part here, and I withdraw the punch. So here just to give this grit to this part of the kick. So this is my final punch. Of course I have some group processing. So here a bit of saturation again. Again here, but in the mids. Here it's to balance and get more punch, more attack to the sample. I bring back a bit the fundamental here, and then I withdraw the nasty frequencies. So you see, there's a bit of resonances due to the saturation, and then I bring back the high end on the frequency range that I've EQ'd. So on top of that, I have some reverb gates. So here it's just a sample, it's an impact. That is a bit sidechain here. So I just take a bit of the punch and I take the tail for giving a room. So Without it, it's a bit dry, so it kind of gives a room. I could have also put a reverb here, but I just took this impact. So here just some EQs, so that I don't have too much of this frequency range, which is too muddy. Same for this. And then, so I choose for this kick to add a rumble on top of the side bass, because here you can see the side bass is really resonating here in the low mids. So I was lacking a bit of that sub. So if I was in Serum, I would have added a sub directly, but here I thought this could be better to add just a rumble, and I had like this very subby rumble. So it's a clear sine wave, and it's the same note as this one. And I have also this gate, this reverb gate, that kind of fills up the frequency range in the low mids. So it's really good to have several rumbles like this, because you can then try different rumbles and see what fits better with your kick. So to do this kind of rumble, I already show you in other videos, and maybe I'll do a specific video on rumbles, but you just have to take this main kick, so for instance this one, and you put a convolution reverb, 100%, then you have your rumble, and you can just saturate it, so either with saturation or with the clipper, and then you just render it to audio, and you have different rumbles. You can also like use an EQ to create different tones on your rumble. So you see, to make it resonate, and you can try different kicks so that you have different sine waves, different fundamentals to this rumble. And so that way you get a sound bank, and you can try different rumbles to fit with your kick. So in that case, I used these two samples, and this was filling up my side bass, which was this one at first. So it's already very good. It's a sample by KSHMR. So I just make it resonate with the amp, and then I just sidechain. So you see here it's get only the low mids. And I make it resonate a bit more. I make sure everything is in mono, and I keep the highs very wide. Then I sidechain, pretty short, because here I want the kick to go through before, and then I just withdraw some resonances. So you see here there's something that I don't want, and then I make it a bit more clear. And so everything together is glued by this group processing. So basically it's just a drum bus. So when I put a drum bus, it brings back that nasty resonancy, so that's why I push it back. It's because of saturation. I don't put the drum bus more than 50%-ish. So you see it will be too much percent. Then I just withdraw some nasty resonances in the high end. And that's pretty much it for the kick and the bass. And so I have my other kick that is with the reverse bass. So this time I use one of the samples that I did for my tutorial that I pitched up to get the same note as the side bass that I have before. And yeah, just a mild EQ, but it was already full. You can see my video on reverse bass to see how I make this kind of reverse bass. And again, everything is glued thanks to the drum bass. Really brings back those low mids and push the limiter a bit. And yeah, that's it for the kick and the bass. Okay, so next we have our drums. So for the drums, I have 2 groups. I have these mild drums. And I have these strong drums. And a snare. So for the mild drums and for also all of the drums, I think CADZOW uses 99 drum machines, samples. Everything is kept simple, and I just, in terms of processing, add a bit of saturation to get that hard techno feeling, and also make sure everything is EQ'd properly so that it doesn't interfere each other between the different drums, and make sure everything is glued. So first I have this ride, which is a 99 with a simple pattern. I saturate to get that noisy feeling, and here I just keep only the high end because I want this to be used more as a room and as a groove instead of a real drum, because here in that frequency range I already have so much things. I have these open hats, I have the shakers, and I also have the screech after. So here just more to give a bit of a room. I have this open hat, which is a 99 drum that I saturate. I put a bit of this small drum room, which is a preset that I tweak a little bit. And I have this shaker with a groovy pattern, so I emphasize this offbeat note so that it goes fast. I have a bit of EQ, again some small drum room, and some sidechain. And everything is glued together by this drum bus and sidechain. That's the mild drums that I use at the intro, and then after I bring the strong drums. So these are stronger because I have more saturation. I use an open hat that is more pronounced. So here, just a bit of saturation, and I withdraw all of the resonances. Because these are very nasty, and since I saturate, I have to withdraw a bit, and I want something more noisy. And then I have this 99 close hat. Again, bit of saturation, and everything is glued together by an overdrive and a drum bus. A room together, which is a plate reverb and some sidechain. And finally, I have the snare here, which is actually a combination of a clap and a snare. So I have, as usual, my 99 clap that I saturate, and this brings the noisy feeling. And I have this 99 that really gives the slap. And together with the overdrive and the drum bus, and again the same room, I can get this slappy snare. And I have a huge reverb, because that's what I wanted here, with this short dark snare room. And that's it for the drums. Then we go to the heart of the track, which is the vocal. So I think CADZOW in his tracks, he uses lots of this kind of rap music vocal with a fast pace, and already it's often chopped up in different
Got up on the streets, got up on the streets.
words like this.
Get you with the heat, get
And it plays with some loopy vocals like this. So just to show you how to use this kind of vocal, so here I use this phrase. So I found other
Hit you with the heat.
Hit 'em with a wave, I don't care.
Pull up on that shit, on that G.
this kind of phrase. So here I'm using this sample that you can put on a channel. Unwarp it, because it will be automatically done in your DAW sometimes. So you have to warp it again. You put the BPM of your sentence. So here I know it's 95. So I can just put 95, and now it's the pace of my track.
I'ma leave ya down up on the streets, hit you with the heat, hit you with the heat.
So it's a bit too fast, and also I have to use the Complex Pro warping because it's better.
I'ma leave ya down up on the streets, hit you with the heat, hit you with the heat.
And here in the track, I play with the time. This is really the vibe of the track that I decided. So it's not really a CADZOW style in that sense, but I think the idea was cool and I wanted to show you. So at some point in the track, I play with the BPM of the track, and that's why I slow down in that break. So first I start with a slow pace vocal.
I'ma leave you down up on the streets, hit you with the heat.
So it's this one, but I pitched up in BPM, and also I have put the right beginning of the phrase here. And then I divide by 2 the BPM to get something quicker.
Down up on the streets, down up on the street.
And I play with the phrase.
Hit you with the heat, hit you with the heat.
Get different vibes. At some point, again, I do this kind of snare roll thing.
Hit you with the heat, hit you with the hit you with the hit you with the hit you hit you with the hit you 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 hit you.
In the drop, here again, I play with these chopped up samples.
Down up, down up, down up, down up. Hit you with, hit you with, hit you with, hit you with the heat.
And then I bring back the BPM of the original samples here when I go down at 95 BPM.
I'ma leave you down up on the streets, hit you with the heat.
And progressively I go back up here by pitching up the whole track, the master tuning.
Down up on the streets, down up, hit you with the heat, hit you with the heat, hit you with the hit you with the hit you.
And then everything is sped up until I reach the climax with the final drop, and the BPM is at 155 again.
Hit you with the heat.
And to announce this second part of the track, I also use these pitched up samples, which is the same,
Hit you with the heat.
but it might be pitched up by 12 semitones or 24, which gives this kind of
Hit you with the hit you with the hit you with the hit you with the.
really pitched up mood. And yeah, this is really the kind of the heart of the track. And so for this vocal, I'm just using amp to make the thing more clear,
I'ma leave you down up on,
and also some
I'ma
overdrive
leave you down up on the streets.
to get that hard techno feeling. And I use this dark vocal room. Also make sure my vocal is tuned to the track, so that's why I've pitched up. And yeah, really make sure it's in Complex Pro. Also, otherwise it will sound weird.
I'ma leave you,
You see, so really Complex Pro or Complex can
I'ma
work
leave you.
sometimes, but it's a different tone. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this vocal. And at some point in the track, I use this vocal sweep. So to do that, I only take this little part. I put a huge reverb, I render it to audio, and then I just divide by 2 and make this sweep. So I think I show you this in several tracks and tutorials that I made. So a good way to make your own sweeps and to make things coherent with the track. All right, so then I have my screeches. I have lots of screeches, but my main one is this one. So I made this patch in Serum. This is a saw wave. I have 15 unison and it's detuned to the maximum. And also I just make sure I still have something in the center for the mono sound. What makes the sound is really also this FM noise. So you have to link the noise to frequency modulation here and the noise here. And what makes the sound is really the resonating frequency here with the filter. So here with lots of drive and this resonancy. Also, I have lots of effects, some distortion, but here it's really also the delay and reverb that makes the huge room. A bit of compression, and I make sure I have no lows here. Also boost the sound with the amp, and make it very wide here by still keeping the mono sound in the lows if I have some. And here just a bit of EQ because I want to make sure it's not too harsh, because it can be with these screeches. There's lots of resonances in the high end, especially because I pitch up very high the octave of the oscillator and also with the amp. Also, what makes the sound is the pattern that I use. So I use several patterns in this track. I first start here with these bars and I play with the arpeggiator. So here it really what makes move the screech. I first start with this rate. So it's 6th rate. Then I have 1/8, again 1/6. Then I go back in the octave. So here I was in C0 and C-1. So I play lower octave, but with the higher rate. And then again, here I play this effect and I kind of anticipate what's going to be happening here by playing with the rate, and it goes down here. So it's really a good way to make it move, and it's usually what's used for those melodic techno drops. It's really the arpeggiator with the rate that is moving. And again, I use different rates at this point and at this point. So it's really a good tool to make different patterns for your track. So not only here in the MIDI channel, you can play with different patterns, but you can also play with the rate, also play with the pitch. So you can modulate the pitch of the master tuning here. And yeah, here I have some other screeches. So this one is a screech support. So it's really to boost a bit of the mids. So it's the same patch, but it's just an octave below here. So it's really about layering. And here I have another screech. So this one is a different filter. This one moves, and I also go down in the pitch. So here I have this LFO that is linked to the chorus of the pitch. And it goes down as it plays. I also a different noise in terms of frequency modulation and a bit more saturation here and some different effects. So it's more dry, but I use this reverb to play with the room. Also make the thing more wide here. I use also a few other screech. So this one just before the drop. So I guess the same patch as the screech one. It's just an octave below, right? I have this one also, which is an octave below. So it's the same patch. It's just here I play with a different resonancy, and I play also a lot with the rate. That's what gives me this moving pattern. I also play with this kind of call and answer. So with these two screeches. And then this final screech again, which is another pattern. With a 16th rate. And also this same patch as the previous one. So yeah, really the screeches, you can see lots of ways to kind of vary and get different patterns. So either vary the patterns here, you can change the pitch envelope here, you can play with the pitch envelope in the oscillator, you can play with the rate of the arpeggiator, you can go back and down in terms of octave, you can play also different notes. So that's why here I play a different notes. So it's really lots of way to vary and to get the screeches moving. And I just have another screech here. So it's kind of a sweep. It's a no-made sweep. So I use one of the patch of the screech and I just play it with a long envelope that goes down. So here it's like 10 seconds. And I bring up the frequencies with the auto filter here. So it's really a nomade sweep. So it's kind of a nice thing to do, also to get some coherence. I also have a few effects. So here just a classic snare roll. So I use a clap and a snare that is more noisy. I have a few impacts to kind of make the transitions. So at first to accompany the introduction, here to accompany the first break.
Get you with the heat, get you with the heat.
Also here.
I'ma leave you down up on them streets.
This other one, I have a few sweep up again to accompany the break. But I also use a bit of the return channel. So I have this reverb in the return channel, and sometimes I use it, for instance here, I guess, yeah, to accompany the different transitions. And yeah, finally I just have this final break that I've pitched down, and this one is pitched up. It's to bring up and down the BPM at this point in the track. And yeah, that's it for the effects. And also that's it for the track. I hope you liked it, guys. Thank you for the support, and I see you in the next one.